Hey, what's up guys? Hope you're doing well in these crazy times. This is a tutorial for developers who want to create a classic website using Symfony. I will cover the following topics. Symfony project installation. Create pages with help of controllers, routing and Twig templates. Apply Bootstrap 5 frontend library. Launch database and connect to it from IDE. Create entities, database migrations and fixtures. Create admin area using EasyAdmin. Basic concepts of Symfony security. Create and process Symfony Forms. Send and process AJAX requests. Send emails via Gmail. Web profiler for debug and troubleshooting. And finally, enabling prod environment. You can use a scroll bar to jump to that chapter that is more interesting to you. If you haven't already, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and drop a like to this video as well, as it really helps me out. For this tutorial you will need PHP version 8 and any IDE, but in this video I use PHP Storm, so if you don't have any IDE yet, I would recommend to install PHP Storm, as it is extremely powerful and easy to use. For now you don't need a database, because I will explain how to install it later in this video. Also, you don't need Apache or Nginx, because you will use built-in web server from Symfony. Before we start, I want to mention that the final project is available on my GitHub repository. The link is in the description. First, open Symfony website and click on Download button. Here you should select that operating system which is installed on your computer. In my case, it's macOS. Copy this command and navigate to the terminal. Paste and execute the command. Once it's finished, you will see different options how you can make Symfony tool available across the system. If you're not sure, just install it globally. Now run a command Symfony to check if it works. And it works. Let's go back to Symfony website and scroll down to section Create Symfony application. Here you will see two options how you can create an application. First option will install Symfony project with different dependencies, which will be required to launch a classic website. Second option will install Symfony skeleton project with only necessary dependencies. It's ideal for microservices or if you want to install dependencies manually. For this tutorial, use first option. Copy and paste this command in terminal. You can change project name by replacing my project with your project name. I will name it Symfony website. After installation, launch PHP Storm and open a new project. First, open .env file. By default, Symfony requires a database connection, which is not set up yet. I have prepared a very simple article about different ways how to launch Postgres database on local machine. You can use a search in Capcoding website to find this article, but the link will be also available in the description to this video. In this article you will find short instructions for each operating system. I prefer to run database in container using Docker, but you are free to use any other option. Once database is run, modify variable database URL and specify correct user, password and database name. OK, now switch to the terminal and navigate to Projects folder. Run command Symfony console. This is a list of all commands available in your project. In this tutorial we will often use section make, which provides an easy way to generate a codebase. For now we need a command make controller. Now we are creating a controller for a home page. This command has created not only a basic controller, but also a Twig template for it. Open PHP Storm and find homepage controller. In the root annotation change a path to a /, which basically is called a home page. This annotation consists of path and name. Path is just a path in the address bar, and it will trigger this method from the browser. Name is a custom unique identifier of this action, which can be used to reference to this method. And I see that my PHP Storm cannot recognize this syntax. This type of annotations became available only recently with new PHP 8. To fix it, click on this annotation and then click on Switch to PHP 8. Okay, now it's fine. Let's navigate to the Twig template. This is just a default template generated by Symfony. Let's launch an application to check how this controller works. Open terminal and run Symfony-H to get list of all available commands. As you see, there are a lot of them. I'm currently looking for a specific command to launch a web server, but I cannot find it. You can use a pipe with grep command to filter the output. And here it is. Execute this command in the terminal and you should see that web server is up and running. Copy the link and open it in browser. And it works. Let's generate another controller. Name it pricing controller. And generate one more with name checkout controller. Switch to PHP Storm and quickly check that new code is in place. Okay, go back to the terminal. I would clear the screen because it's too messy. And run web server again. In the browser, navigate to pricing page. By default, the path is the same as the controller's name. Pricing page is loaded. Now do the same for checkout page. And it is also loaded. I would like to add a top main menu and footer. And this element should stay on all pages, only content should change. Here you can see that this Twig template extends base template. Jump into it. This base template is used by all other templates, and it contains simple HTML with title, blocks for styles, JavaScript, and page content. Each block can be overridden in the child template, for example, as it is done in pricing template for title and body. Now let's add top menu and add it just before block body. For a better view, let's add bootstrap. I think it's the most popular frontend tool to build a website. Open getbootstrap.com and click download. For this tutorial, I will use CDN version of this library. This is a quick and easy way to install Bootstrap on your website. Copy links and add them to the base template. Add styles in the head block and JavaScript at the end of the body. In the Bootstrap page, scroll a little bit up to the section Examples and open it. Here you will find many good solutions. As for now, we need headers. Just take a first one. For this, open DevTools and copy HTML for this menu. Paste it in the body block just before Twig block. And rename website to capcoding. Now open website and reload the page. A new menu appeared on top. To properly show all Bootstrap elements, we should also include icons. From Bootstrap website, open Icons menu and scroll to the Install section. Copy CDN link and paste it next to the Bootstrap styles. Now let's add a footer to the website. Go back to Examples and find the section Footers. There are many different options. Take any example. Copy its HTML via DevTool. And then paste it after Twig block. I will add body and footer into main container. And I also wrap body block with tag main. Let's check how it looks now. And it looks great. Open Bootstrap examples and find pricing. I want to add this page into the website. And again, copy HTML, open Twig template for pricing page, and replace everything within body block with new HTML. Remove tag main because it's already added in the base template. Open this page in the browser. And you see that it looks good, but there are no icons, even though special styles were added for them. If you check the source code, you would notice that these icons are added as SVG. Let's fix them. Open Browser tab with Bootstrap icons. Scroll to the top up to the search bar. The icon which we are going to fix is check. Copy HTML and replace with it all SVG icons check. Now refresh the page and icons are shown correctly. Finally, let's add the content for checkout page. For this, open Bootstrap examples and find the checkout. Again, copy its HTML code and paste into Twig template. Also remove tag main, as it's already added in parent template. Navigate to checkout page. Everything looks pretty good, except an image on top. I don't like it, so I remove it. Yeah, much better. I just realized that I forgot to add an icon to the website title. Let's add it. Open Bootstrap icons and search for code. I personally like this icon, and I will add it as a logo. This time I will copy SVG code. Open base template and paste code just before website title. To match the style, I need to copy styles from examples icon. Now I can remove alt icon and refresh the page. And voila, logo is here. Let's now focus on the main menu. Now it contains hard-coded items, and I want to link them to specific pages. And for this, we need to know information about their controllers, especially root names. Root name is defined in annotation for each controller's action. For example, homepage controller has only one action index, and its root name is homepage. And the same situation is for pricing controller, that has index action with root name pricing. Open base template and scroll to the main menu. In href attribute, call Twig function path with desired root name. This function generates an URL for specified root. Let's do the same also for other links. At the same time, I rename items and remove unused ones. Switch to the browser and refresh the page. Menu now has proper items with correct URLs. With this approach, even if you change an URL for some page, menu would still contain correct up-to-date URL. I will demonstrate it. We are now on checkout page, and its path is checkout. Open checkout controller and change path to something different. For example, to checkout-page. And now, if you refresh the page and click on checkout item in menu, the checkout page will be opened with an updated URL. This is a proper way to work with links in Symfony. so you shouldn't search the whole project for an old URL to change it to the new one. You simply do it in one place. In the next step, I want to make pricing page dynamic. And by this, I mean that pricing plans will be pulled from database, together with their benefits. Also, list of features will be stored in the database. And we will make this comparison table real, not static. In total, we will have 3 entities: pricing plan benefits, and pricing plan features, which can be shared within pricing plans. Switch to the terminal and run console. Now generate entities using command makeEntity. First entity will be pricing plan benefit. Then we can specify properties for this entity, and it will be only name, and its type will be string with length, let's say 50, and it cannot be nullable. Let's run the same command one more time, and this time we will create entity pricing plan feature, and it will also contain property name, string with length 50, not nullable. And finally, run again this command to create the main entity pricing plan. Oops, wrong name. Okay, this entity will have property name, string with length 50, not nullable. Then it will also contain a price, integer. Always store prices in cents, as integer, and not as float, because you might have different issues with calculation and roundings. In this tutorial, for simplicity, I will store prices in dollars. So, another property is benefits, and its type should be one-to-many. As a related entity, we should specify pricing plan benefit. You can specify custom name for internal field, but I will keep suggested name. Also, I would not allow nullable values, and keep default value to not remove orphans automatically. One-to-many relation means that one entity pricing plan can have multiple entities pricing plan benefit. Next property will be features, with type many-to-many. And as related entity, specify pricing plan feature. And don't create a new property inside pricing plan feature, as it is independent entity and it shouldn't know anything about pricing plan. That's it. Run specified command from the output to generate a migration file. A migration is a set of database queries which are executed in transaction and perform some database changes. In our case, we create sequences, tables, and specify relations between tables. To apply this migration, execute command migrations migrate. And it successfully migrated. Now we can start redesigning the pricing page. Open pricing controller. First, I will get pricing plans from database. For this, get Doctrine instance and call getRepository and pass entity class. Then call method findAll to retrieve all data. To pass this data to the Twig template, specify key value parameters in render method, where key will be a variable name in the template and value the actual value you want to assign to this variable. Then open pricing template. This is HTML code for all pricing plans. Let's remove last 2 blocks of code and keep only first one. Wrap it with a Twig loop function. Now, step by step, replace existing information with data from variables. Remove hard-coded name and get name from pricing plan. Note that it's not necessary to write getName because Twig will call getter automatically if it exists. Do the same also for a price. The list of benefits also should be retrieved from variable. So wrap it with a loop and replace hard-coded value with one from benefit variable. Remember that we have created only empty database tables. So now let's add some content. Open migration, and here I will add insert queries with the same information from our example page. This part is a little bit boring and monotone, so I will speed it up. At first I create pricing plans, then benefits for each pricing plan, finally I add features. And I realized that I didn't change pricing plan IDs, so I fixed it as well. Okay, let's apply these changes. As this migration was already executed, we should roll it back first, and then rerun. Run command migrations execute with flag help to see all available options. To roll back specific migration, we should set flag down. Let's copy migration's name and execute the command. But wait, there is an error that such migration doesn't exist. Yeah, all slashes in migration name should be escaped. And now we got another error. This is actually a problem with auto-generated migration. Open it and scroll to the method down. This method is called when migration is rolled back. Here we should remove a query that creates a public schema, because this schema wasn't removed during a migration. You can run a command now. Okay, migration is rolled back, so execute migrations again. To check if data was properly inserted, I will show how to connect to the database. Open Database tool by clicking on the corresponding button in the side panel, or if it's not there, open Help menu and search for Database. Or you can also use Find Action Database. Here click on plus button and select Data Source PostgreSQL. In this window, I would change the name to something meaningful, like local database. In user input, type a username which you use to connect to the database. In my case, it's my_user. Fill fields database and password. And then click Test Connection. Okay, configuration is done. Now, in the database tool, you should see your database with all existing tables. Double-click on any table and entries will be loaded. Let's quickly check that migrated data is there. Yeah, and now we can test pricing page. But first, I would like to show you another way to run a web server. Run command local server start with flag help to see all available options. You can pass flag daemon and web server will run in the background. Switch to the browser and open pricing page. Looks quite good. So now it's super easy to change pricing plans. Let's try to do it. Open table pricing plan and change the name of any plan. Click on Submit button to apply changes. Then refresh the page and you immediately see the new name. Okay, let's revert these changes. Now we can move on to the next step and modify block compare plans. In the template, under compare plans, find the place with the list of all pricing plans and wrap it in a loop, the same way as we did before. Remove all plans except one and replace its name with a variable. Below there are rows with information for each feature. Remove all but one. Also wrap it in a loop. But currently we don't have data for features in the template. Let's fix it. Open Pricing Controller and duplicate code for getting pricing plans. Rename variable to features and set repository class to pricing plan feature. Pass this variable to the template. And now we can iterate over all features which were retrieved from the database. Replace feature name with one from variable feature. In order to show that pricing plan has this specific feature, we should iterate over all pricing plans and check if it contains this feature or not. Currently, there is no such possibility, so let's write some code. Open class pricing plan and scroll to the bottom. Duplicate method addFeature and rename it to hasFeature. This method will return Boolean result. In the body, call method contains from the feature collection with specific feature which we want to check. That's it. And now we can continue with Twig template. So, if pricing plan has this feature, we render check icon. Otherwise, we render empty cell. Let's check how it works. Refresh the page. And all features are marked correctly. Let's add a new feature to the free plan. Open Database tool and select Table with features. I'm going to add a feature private with ID 2. Open the table Pricing Plan feature. This is a joint table, also known as a cross-reference table, which was created for many-to-many relationship. And it allows you to add several features for one pricing plan, and one feature can be added by several pricing plans. Let's take a look into pricing plan table. Free plan has ID 1. This ID will be used later in the next step. Of course, you can add a new feature to the pricing plan using previous approach, by adding it directly into the table via IDE. But I will show you another way, by using Query Console. Here you can write your queries like you would do it in the database console. Insert into the join table values 1 and 2, where 1 is ID for free pricing plan and 2 ID for private feature. Open pricing page and refresh it. And you see that free plan contains the feature private. Okay, it works. Let's now create an admin area. For this I will use EasyAdmin bundle. The documentation is available in the official Symfony website, and I have also added it to the description to this video. Scroll down, copy the installation command, and execute it in the terminal. Switch back to the documentation and open link Create your first dashboard. Scroll a little bit down and copy another command to generate a dashboard, and also execute it in terminal. Keep all parameters with default values. Okay, dashboard is generated. Now we can generate first CRUD controller by running command from the output. This command shows a list of all available entities in the project. Select pricing plan and then use default values. Switch to PHP Storm and open folder controller. There are two new controllers, one for dashboard and another one for pricing plans. Open dashboard controller. And here you can see that its path is admin. Let's open it in the browser. Okay, the page is loaded with default dashboard from EasyAdmin. Now let's add a new menu item for pricing plan. In previous tab we have already created a CRUD controller for it. And here it is. So, in dashboard controller, scroll to the bottom to the method configure menu items. There should be a commented line with sample menu item. Comment out first line and uncomment next one. Specify class pricing plan instead of default entity class. Refresh the page, and on the left sidebar you see new menu item, the label. Yeah, I will rename it later. Click on this link, and admin page for pricing plans is loaded. Let's try to modify first entry. Rename plan and save it. Now open home page and navigate to pricing page. As you see, the plan has new name. Also, if you want, you can create a new pricing plan from admin area. Let's switch to terminal and generate CRUD pages for pricing plan benefits and features. Open dashboard controller and duplicate menu item for pricing plan. And yeah, it's a good moment to rename it. In second link, specify benefit entity and name it pricing plan benefits. Duplicate this line again and change name and class. Open dashboard. Now menu items are named properly and they load corresponding pages. Now let's change page title to admin. And also let's show pricing plan page instead of default dashboard. To do this, we should generate URL to desired admin page and redirect dashboard to this URL. So for this we should modify index method. Clear the body and get admin URL generator. Set pricing plan CRUD controller. And finally generate URL. Now we can call redirect method and pass new URL into it. Switch to browser and open admin homepage. As you see, now pricing plans are loaded here. Go to edit mode of first entry. Currently we can edit only name and price. Let's add the possibility to modify also its benefits. For this, open pricing plan CRUD controller and uncomment method configure fields. Here you can define list of fields which will be available for modification. Remove ID field and description. Rename title to name. Add integer field for price and collection field for benefits. Benefits field is complex field and requires custom form type. We will define it in a moment. You can control where fields will be shown by specifying only on details, only on index, only when creating, and others. Benefits should be visible only in edit mode, so I specify only on forms. It means that this field will be shown when you create a new entry or modify an existing one. Open terminal and run console. We are going to generate a new form type using command make form. Check out my other tutorials if you want to know more about Symfony Forms. As a form name, write pricing plan benefit. And also write pricing plan benefit for entity name. File is generated. Copy its path and open in PHP Storm. This form contains two fields, name and pricing plan. For our use case, we will use only name, so remove pricing plan. Copy class name and set it as a form type in benefits collection field. Or you should set entry type, not form type. Refresh the page. Now you see all benefits that are assigned to this plan. Let's fix these ugly names. Open entity pricing plan benefit and implement method toString. It will return benefits name. Refresh the page and looks much better. Let's test how it works. Change benefit to 11 users included and click Save. Open pricing page and you see that this plan has updated benefit. Let's also increase storage a little bit. And it's updated as well. Okay. We can also add a new benefit here. Click Save, and we got an error. This is fine. By default, it's not allowed to store related entities automatically. We have two options how to fix it. Call persist method explicitly for benefits, or configure cascade persist operation. I would go with second option. Open entity pricing plan and scroll to the benefits property. In the annotation, define cascade persist. Switch to the browser and refresh the page. New benefit was added. Refresh the pricing page. And new benefit is shown here. Let's remove last benefit. Oh, we got an error again. What happened? Instead of removing benefit, Doctrine just removed relation between benefit and plan by setting pricing plan ID to null. And it violates column constraint. The fix is very simple. We should specify another annotation, orphan removal true. With this setting, Doctrine will remove all entries which don't have related connections. Refresh the page. And benefit is removed. Let's test one more time. Create a new benefit. OK, it is shown. Remove benefit. And it disappeared. OK, fine. Now let's move to the next topic. Authentication and authorization. In admin area, there is a button in the right top corner. If you click on it, you would see that currently we are logged in as anonymous user. Also, you can check a profiler bar. And here it says that we are not authenticated. It means that admin area is available for not login users. Let's grant access only for admins. First, we should create a user entity. Switch to terminal and run console. We need the command make user. You can use default options. So, entity was created, and now we can generate a migration. And immediately executed. Open PHP Storm and open file security YAML in folder config packages. As you see, it was slightly updated after we created the user. In Symfony 5.3, security component received big changes. And if you want to use new authenticator-based system, you should set parameter enable authenticator manager to true. Switch to terminal and run console again. Run a command make auth, which will generate a new authenticator. Select login form and name it admin authenticator. For other parameters, use default values. In security.yaml, scroll to the block access control and uncomment a rule for admin. This rule says, all paths which start with admin are only allowed for users with the role admin. Let's check this out. Open a browser and refresh the admin page. I'm redirected to login page because I'm not logged in. Open database tool, refresh it to fetch the latest changes from database. Open table user. Currently it's empty, so let's add a new user. There are several ways how to do it. First, you can insert it manually into database. Second, you can write a migration. Another way is to do it with fixtures. First two approaches I have already covered in this tutorial, so I will explain the last one with fixtures. Fixtures are a known set of data loaded into database, usually for testing purpose. You shouldn't use fixtures in production environment. Run console. Find the command make fixtures. Execute it. And we got an error that fixture bundle is not installed yet. In the output there is a command which we should run in order to install it. So copy and execute it. OK, run make fixtures one more time. Name new fixture user fixtures. Open it in PHP Storm from the folder src data fixtures. Uncomment these two lines and replace product with user. Also rename the variable. I would set email for admin user and its role. All roles should start with prefix role _. Of course, a user should have a password, but it's a bad practice to store password in plain text. To hash a password, let's use password hasher, which will implement Symfony's user password hasher interface. Now we should create a constructor and we are ready to hash admin's password. Call a method hashPassword. Pass a user object and desired password. My password is very strong. OK, the fixture is ready and we can load it into database. For this, run command Doctrine fixtures load. Before loading fixtures, the database will be purged. Keep it in mind. Oh, default app fixture was also loaded. Let's remove it. Open user table. Now there is one entry with admin user and its password is hashed. Let's try to log in. Open browser and copy-paste email and password. And we got an error that redirect is not provided in the class admin authenticator. Open this class and scroll to method on authentication success. Uncomment line with redirect response and remove exception. On successful authentication, I want to redirect a user to admin dashboard. Open dashboard controller. Copy the root name and use it to generate URL for redirect response. Open browser and refresh the page. And we are logged in. You can see it in the right top corner and also in the profiler. Let's log out and try to open admin area again. Log in. And we are redirected to the admin dashboard. Good. Remember that the database was purged during loading fixtures. Let's fix it. Run command fixtures load with the flag --help. The option which I'm looking for is purge exclusions, to exclude tables from being purged. But first, let's roll back all migrations to have a clean database. Currently we have 2 migration files. To roll them back, run command migration execute with flag --down and specify migration's name. Run migrations to load content into the database. And now we can load fixtures specifying flag purge exclusions. I have already prepared this command with all tables required for pricing plan. So now fixtures will be loaded, but data in these tables will not be removed. This kind of workaround is required only because we have different ways to load data in the database. Usually, you should choose one way and stick to it. Open browser, log in, and you see that dashboard contains information, so it wasn't removed. Okay, admin area is finished, and now I want to show you how to create a widget Contact Us. In the template folder, create a new folder Widget. And inside it, create a new Twig file, Contact Us. Open Bootstrap website and navigate to documentation. In the components section, find model. There are different examples, but I pick one under varying model content. It looks like this. Pop-up with title, simple form with 2 fields and buttons. Copy HTML and paste into template. First, change the title to Contact Us. Then, rename input label to name and duplicate input block. Change its label to email. And again, duplicate input block and set label as subject. And also change attributes for and ID. I prefer to keep buttons in the form, so I move the whole block inside. Also, change type of second button to Submit. Open base template and scroll to the footer. Duplicate one menu item and name it Contact Us. Now we should show model window by clicking on this menu item. Switch to the browser. There are 3 buttons in the example. Copy data attributes of any of it and paste them into the menu item. As a target, we should specify ID of our model. I will name it Contact Us Model and set the same for ID for the model itself. Now menu item is linked with the model. Let's move further and include this widget by using Twig function include. Specify the path to the template which we want to render. Open homepage and refresh it. In the footer you should see Contact Us, and if you click on it, model window is shown. You can close it and open again. Great, it works. This approach is good when you display some static information, for example banner. But in our case, we should also process the form on submit. So let's change it a little bit. In PHP Storm, duplicate checkout controller and name it Contact Us controller. Rename class and remove root definition. Also remove controller name and specify widget template. In the base template, replace include with render and pass a function controller with full name of Contact Us controller. Keep in mind that backslashes should be escaped. Specify method that will be called. Let's test it. Refresh the page, click, and the model is shown. To process a form, we need some object to store all data from the form. For this, create a new folder value object. And inside it, create new class contact form. This class will have name, email, subject, and message. Switch to terminal and run console. We need a command make form to generate a form type. Name class contact form type and specify full name of the value object class that this form will be bound to. Open form type and you see that it contains all fields from the class value object. By default, field is a string and it is rendered as text input. Keep this configuration, but message defined as a text area. Open Contact Us controller and in the method create a form type by calling method createForm. And pass class name contact form type. Now pass this form into template. I use a new helper method renderForm, which was introduced in Symfony 5.3 and it simplifies form handling. Open the template. Comment out all fields and you can keep them just as a reference. Render a form in Twig is quite easy. You should call function form and pass a variable form into it. Switch to browser and click on Contact Us. Form is rendered, but it doesn't look as good as before. To achieve the same appearance, let's apply CSS classes that were specified in the original code. There are three groups of classes: classes for container, for label, and for input. In the form type, I will explicitly specify the type, and as a third argument, I pass an array of options. Options for the field container are stored in raw attributes. And here we can pass attribute class with custom CSS classes. Copy classes for the label. Options for the label are stored in label attribute, and it's also possible to set custom CSS classes. Finally, copy classes for the input. Its options are stored in the property attribute. Let's try it out. Yep, now the field looks as before. If you open DevTools, you see that this block contains all classes that we have specified in the form type. Okay, now let's apply the same styles to other fields. Create a variable form type options from selection using refactoring tool, and use it for other fields. Let's quickly test result in the browser. Okay, good. But currently there are no buttons. In the form type, create two other fields. One is submit button, and second, just a normal button. Switch to form template to check what classes were applied for these buttons in the example. Copy classes and data attribute for button. And then copy classes for submit. Let's check this out. Okay, buttons are there, but they are positioned wrongly. I will fix it by providing classes for specific widths and display buttons as inline block. So button will have width 25%, and submit 50%. Also rename buttons by setting label attributes. Okay, much better. As we work with Bootstrap library, we can enable global Twig form theme. Open Twig YAML from config folder and specify block form themes. Form theme is a set of styles which will be used for rendering forms. You can specify one or multiple themes. Out of the box, Symfony provides form themes for Bootstrap version 3, 4, and 5, Foundation version 5 and 6, and Tailwind version 2. You can also create your own themes and reuse them within your website or use in different projects. Now let's continue with processing the form. Open controller and inject request. Then call form handle request and pass request into it. If form is submitted and is valid, we can get submitted data from the form. This data will have a type of value object that is bound to the form. Once we have all this information, we can send an email. I just leave a placeholder, and we will come to this point later. Open folder public, and inside it create a folder JS. Create a file contactform.js. In this file, we will write JavaScript code, which will handle form submission and processing the result. So first I would like to get the form itself. For this, call document.querySelector. Switch to the form template. And yeah, now we can remove useless code. So, here copy form model ID and put into selector. Then specify tag form to get the form itself. Of course, the result should be assigned to the variable. Then listen to submit event. In the body, call prevent default to cancel the event and prevent submitting a form. And I just call console log to check that this piece of code was executed. In the widget template, inject this JavaScript file. Open tag script and in source call Twig function asset and specify the full path to the file. The path should start from the folder public. Open DevTools and refresh the page. In the network, you can see that JavaScript file was loaded. Open Contact Us and fill the form with test data. Once form is submitted, the debug message is shown in the console. So code was loaded and it works. Let's define a route for Contact Us controller by copying the definition from checkout controller. The path will be contact-us, name, contact us, and specify methods post. Now specify the action attribute for the form. In the widget template, call function formStart and pass form variable and object with attributes. Set action attribute and as value pass function path with root name. This function will resolve root into path. Let's test it. Refresh the page, open contact form, and launch DevTool. Here you see that form has attribute action with correct path. Okay, let's continue with JavaScript. Define a function sendData. Create new XML HTTP request object and new form data. Listen to load event, and if HTTP status code is less than 400, meaning that request was successful, return from function. Otherwise, get response, which will contain widget HTML. Then create a new div element, which will store this HTML. After this, find a container for the form. There are many ways how to do it. For example, you can use model ID and closest class to the form. Duplicate this line and find current form container. Replace current form with new from response. Add another listener for errors. Here find form container and write there an error message. Finally, write the code to send post request to the URL from the form attribute action with form data. One more thing. Wrap initial code into function. And call it only when page is loaded. Also, this function should be executed after replacing the HTML, because submit listener is bound to alt HTML tag, and a new tag doesn't have this listener, so it should be rebind. In other words, by replacing the HTML, listener is removed and should be reassigned. Let's check this out. Open browser and fill the form. Open DevTools and switch to Network. Send request. Here you can see that request was successful, form data was sent, and response contains HTML for widget. Okay, fine. Let's add some validation to the form. Open form type. Now default bootstrap styles can be removed, because we have defined a global bootstrap form theme. Add constraint not blank to all fields except buttons. Open browser, fill the form, and open DevTools. Submit the form, and request was successful. Now remove name and submit the form one more time. This request returned HTTP status code 422. If you scroll to the field name, you would see that there is an error message. So JavaScript code works as expected. Let's test other fields as well. Type a space in each field and error message appears for all of them. Perfect. But all error messages are the same. Let's change them. Copy options into each field. A validation constraint allows you to specify a custom error message. Internally, the message will be set to the property message and will override a default error message. Pass array with key message and your custom message. Do the same for other fields as well. For email field, use email type, which adds email-specific validations. Refresh the page and type a space for each field. Email is immediately shown as not valid due to HTML5 form validation. Type correct email and submit the form. You see that now error message is unique for each field. Let's now show a message on successful form submission. Open Contact Us controller. Create a variable that will contain success message. Define a message if form is submitted and is valid. Finally, pass this message in the template. In the template, add a condition for success message. If it's defined, this message will be shown. Otherwise, contact form will be rendered. Open Bootstrap website and navigate to Component Alerts. There are many different examples, but we need one for success alerts. Use it to render our success message. Switch to JavaScript file. There is a check for HTTP status code on XHR load event. Let's remove it. Now new content will be always rendered once received from the server. Open website and submit the form one more time. This time you see only success message, and contact form is not rendered. This part is done, and we can move to the next topic. Send an email from contact form. Symfony has a good documentation about mailer component. Let's open it. Navigate to installation chapter and copy the installation command. Execute it in terminal. In this example, I will show you how to implement sending emails using Gmail provider. But implementation for other providers is very similar. Copy installation command for Gmail and also execute it in terminal. Switch to IDE and open file .env. There you can see new section with environment variable mailer.dsn, where you should set username from your Gmail account and an application password. Open your Google account page and go to the menu section Security. There, scroll down to Signing in to Google and click on App Passwords. You will be asked to retype your password. And you are free to add a password for the new application. Under the app, select Mail, and under Device, select Other. And write something meaningful, for example, Symfony Mailer. New password is generated. Copy it. In the .env file, add your email and paste the app password. If your credentials contain special characters, you must URL encode them. The example you can see in the screen now. Open Contact Us controller and inject a mailer. Now remove to-do and create a new variable email that will be a new email object. Set receiver email address, then sender email address, and finally, specify a subject and text. Call mailer send and pass a variable email. Wrap this call with try block and catch transport exceptions. If error occurs, add an error into the form with some meaningful error message. Also inject a logger and write logs in case of error for further investigation. Optionally, you can pass context with original error message. Move success message inside try block, as it should be defined only when email was successfully sent. Let's check this out. Open browser and send a message. Check your Gmail. You should receive a new email. Okay, it works. You can also define the content using Twig. For this, use class templated email, which adds some new methods for Twig templates. Instead of method text, call HTML template and pass a name for Twig template, which will be used to render an email. For now, there is no such template, but we will create it in a second. Call method context and pass here a list of variables which will be available inside this template. Pass all data which is available in the class contact form. Copy all properties. You can use Alt or Option key for multi-select. Pass them as keys in the array, and as values use contact form variable with corresponding property. You can also pass the whole object contact form if you wish. Now copy template name and create a new file inside template folder with this name. I compose simple email template using variables which were passed in the context. Additionally, you have access to a special variable email, which is an instance of wrapped templated email and contains such information as sender, receiver, and even special helper method to render images. Let's test this new email template. Open browser and send a message. And we got an error. You can immediately see it in the Symfony profiler panel. But no error information was shown in UI. Let's fix it. Open JavaScript file and copy body of error listener. Add the check to render form only if new model body is present. Otherwise, error message will be shown. It means that error message will be rendered on any error that doesn't provide valid HTML with the form model. Refresh the page and try again. This time error message is shown. Let's investigate what kind of error we received from the server. Fill the form and open DevTools before sending a message. Okay, there is a naming problem. I have named variable email, but it's reserved for templated email. Open controller and rename email key to customer email. And also rename it in the template. Send the message one more time. Now request was successfully processed. Open Gmail, and there is a new email. Okay, looks good. We have checked successful flow. And now let's test what will happen on mail exception. In the controller, comment out sending email and keep only adding error message to the form and logger. Open browser and send a message. An error message appeared on the top of the form. Fine. Roll back last changes. Some mailer parameter can be set globally. Open config folder and find file mailer.yaml under the folder packages. For example, you can define a global sender email address. You can also redefine mail configuration for dev environment. Copy file mail.yaml into the dev folder. Often in dev mode, emails shouldn't be sent. To disable sending emails, specify DSN as null. Or you can globally override list of recipients to always send emails to only one address. In conclusion, let's refactor this code a little bit. Copy code, then create a new folder service. And inside create a new class email sender. Define public method sendContactUsForm. And paste code into the body. Define private property mail interface. And generate a constructor. Replace mailer variable with mailer property. Add contact form as an argument of the method sendContactUsForm. Finally, generate PHP doc. So, we have moved logic to send email into public method of email sender. Now let's use it. Switch to the controller and remove all this code. Replace argument mail interface with email sender. Then call sendContactUsForm from email sender and pass value object contact form. That's it. Let's quickly test it. Open browser and send a message. And it was successfully sent. In the next chapter of this tutorial, I explain how to work with Symfony's profiler. On the left bottom corner, you see 200 on the green background and text homepage. It means that this page was successfully loaded, its HTTP status code is 200, and current route is homepage. Click on it to load more detailed profiler page. Here you see information about current page, what controller and action process this request. Different request attributes. For example, what firewall was used and what is root name. And there is a list with all headers. On the left side menu, click Performance. In this section, you can see different performance metrics, such as total execution time, initialization time of Symfony core, memory usage. You can also enable execution timeline here by installing stopwatch component. In the logs section, you can read, logs. The routing section contains current route name, a list of all existing routes, their path, and matching information. In the Twig, you can check Twig performance metrics, what templates were rendered on this page, their inheritance and processing time. There are many useful information in the Doctrine section. Here you can find total amount of database queries and their execution time. Also, there are all queries which were executed for this request. You can investigate them to improve or fix some queries and increase overall performance. Next section is migration, and here you can check information about Doctrine migrations, which of them were executed, when, and how much time it took. In the last section, configuration, you will find information about Symfony itself, what version and environment are used. Information about PHP is also available here. Below you will find list of all enabled bundles. Now scroll to the top and click on button Latest, and information about the latest request is loaded. In this case, the latest request was a request for sending a message. As you see, this is a post request to pass contact us. And few more menu items became available. First, Validator shows if there are any violation in submitted form. Second, Form contains information about used form type with all available fields. You can click on Name and quickly jump into the source code. Here you also have access to submitted data and check all resolved options. For example, what data class is used. The same information available also for all fields. Now you can also open section Emails and check information about sent emails. For example, you see that one email was sent, there is information about sender, receiver, and email subject. You also have access to email HTML and text content. At the end, load any admin page and open Profiler. Here you will have new active menu item EasyAdmin. It contains some information about admin page, but to be honest, I didn't find it very useful. In the security section, you have information about the user and his roles. Also, there is more information about firewall, which was used for this page. That's it. In the final chapter of this tutorial, I will show you how to enable prod environment in the website. Previously, project was launched with dev environment, which is designed for local development. But once you want to launch a website on production server, you should switch project to prod environment. First, let's stop running application. Open terminal, execute Symfony command with flag ---- help. Find command to stop local server and execute it. Now web server is stopped. Switch project to prod environment using command local server prod. Run it with flag ---- help. As an argument, you should specify project directory. And now you can run local web server. Open browser and refresh the page. As you see, there is no profiler bar anymore, as it is disabled on prod environment. Also, performance is higher on prod environment due to better caching and disabled debug functionality. You can easily check it in DevTool. Refresh the page several times. The average response time is about 140 milliseconds. Now, let's switch project back to dev environment by specifying flag ---- off. Now refresh the page. Okay, first request will be much slower because Symfony was building a new cache. But then you see that the response time is much higher. Of course, it's not the best measurement tool, but you got an idea. It's worth noting that there is a good article in official Symfony website about how to deploy a Symfony application. That's it. I hope this tutorial sheds some light on the website building process. If you have any questions, write them in comment section below, or join my Telegram chat. The link will be in the description. Goodbye, and code something amazing.